Hey, if you're pregnant over 40, I have just the community for you. It's a private community away from Facebook where women just like you come together to meet and support one another during pregnancy. To sign up for the waitlist, go to over40fabulousandpregnant.com/waitlist and be the first to know when the membership is open. I can't wait to see you inside. Welcome to Over 40, Fabulous and Pregnant. I am your host, Jamie Massey, and you're listening to episode 60. If you're looking for pregnancy stories of women over 40, you've come to the right place. And today on the show, we have Nana on to share her pregnancy journey at 41. In this episode, she does share her loss at 23 weeks with preeclampsia. And afterwards, her doctor told her to never get pregnant again. It just wasn't for her. Now, luckily, her other doctor had a different opinion. And she talks about her healing journey. She jokes and calls herself Fertile Myrtle, which I just love because I don't agree with calling anybody infertile. After healing and getting her body ready, she was pregnant at 41. I'll let her tell you the rest of her story, but I just believe that it's so important that we talk about our losses. I know how hard it can be, and I always appreciate every time someone shares. Today, I am 6 weeks and 2 days pregnant. That is still a little uncomfortable to say. And if you ask me how I am, I'm afraid I will be honest. I've had a few ladies ask me how I am, and I responded with terrible. Even though the doctor told me that brown spotting was okay, it really got my brain spiraling. I've had really small amounts of brown that have stopped and started a few times. I am so much better though. That was 3 or 4 days ago, and I have just been sleeping a ton also. I'm tired all the time. I've taken a nap in my truck one time. Yesterday, I took 2 naps. I'm very tired. And this show comes out on November 20th. And my 6-week sonogram is on the 21st. So for everyone listening on the day this comes out, my sonogram is tomorrow. I will be sure to let you know how it goes. I am definitely a little nervous. And with that, let's get into the show. Hi, Nana. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you.
And today we have Nana on to share her pregnancy journey at 41. But before we get started, will you share a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Nana Alice Nyarko, but now Apia. I just recently got married and I have one little boy. He is now 4.5 months old. So very grateful. I am 41, going to be 42 in a month. And I'm just very, very grateful to be here. It was quite a journey to get to have my son, a few losses in there. So I'm happy to share all of that today.
Wonderful. And let's go back because your journey started when you were, 39? Take us back to that time.
Yeah, so I was 39 and my husband then, we were just dating, but we got pregnant in about January of 2021. I was 39 years old. And then unfortunately, by about March, April of that year, we had a miscarriage. We just realized that it just wasn't working out. And so that was very rough. And so we decided we were going to just try again. Our doctor said, you can try again. This does happen based on your age and all of that. So we actually had started looking into IVF, started the process, and we had our first meeting with our IVF doctor while we were on vacation. We were in Jamaica and did our like initial Zoom with him because this is still kind of towards the end of the pandemic.
Mhm.
So, but we ended up getting pregnant in Jamaica.
Wow.
Yeah, we were very, very excited about. So we were pregnant. We were moving forward with it, and everything seemed to be going okay. But unfortunately, around 23 weeks, I well, the short version is that I ended up with severe preeclampsia.
Mhm.
Very, very severe because it was very early. Most people don't get preeclampsia till they hit like around week 30 or so. But I was 23 weeks and I had no idea. I went into the hospital because I thought I didn't feel my baby girl. I felt like I didn't feel her kicking enough. So I
Mhm.
just kind of had this inclination. I should just go check this out, make sure everything's okay. I'm sure it's fine. And they're like, well, baby's fine, but your blood pressure is through the roof. So we're going to observe you overnight. And it all started from there. So I was in the hospital about 3 or 4 days, and they just, they were monitoring me, giving me medication to try to reduce my blood pressure, but it just was not going down. And preeclampsia is basically caused by the pregnancy. Like they don't really have any exact causation, but they know pregnancy is what brings it on. And the only way to stop it is delivering baby. And unfortunately, I was getting to the point where there was protein in my urine. I was at risk for having like seizures, severe seizures. And I was extremely swollen. It was just not good. So they did deliver her at 23 weeks. And she was with us for about 5 days. She was born on December 20th, and she did pass on December 25th on Christmas Day, 2020. Yeah. So, like I said, I sometimes I don't think I will cry talking about it, but then I cry every time I talk about it. So it was devastating. It was really,
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I know those stories can be really hard. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, after that, you probably needed some time to heal, I assume.
Yeah, we did. We did. So it's like you definitely go through the stages of grief.
Yeah.
And so when we were very angry at first, and then it was like denial, anger, all the stages we went through. But we were blessed, I will say, in that I had my old OBGYN, and then because of my age, even with that pregnancy, I was seeing a perinatal specialist because the term geriatric pregnancy. So
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those. So I was seeing a couple doctors in that office monitor me. None of them caught the preeclampsia or the reason. But when I was in the hospital and the call was made, a doctor from that office who I'd never seen before was the one who was like, no, you really you have to do this at this point. So, and they still make you do follow-ups because you had a baby. So when I did the follow-up with my OBGYN, she told me to never get pregnant again.
Why?
She said, no, it's not for you. Look into all the other options, but this is not for you. So again, gut punch. We were
Mm.
devastated because
Yeah.
both my husband and I have always wanted kids. Like we got together and we were ready to have kids pretty much right away. So it was really, really a blow. Fortunately, because that doctor was the one who we saw in the hospital, his name is Dr. Paul Wilkes, and I will love him forever. He's the one we did our follow up with for the perinatal specialist because you have to
Mm-hmm.
go back to both. And he said, I think you just had a bad pregnancy. It happens. I think whatever the cause of the preeclampsia was not caught. And I think we can figure this out.
Mm.
I want you to do these tests. He ran these tests. It was right there, like simple blood work. you know, looking for the right things. So they found out that I was deficient in protein S and protein something else. But basically, I have a tendency to clot, blood clotting. So after learning that, they put me on aspirin, a couple things, because we decided at that point that, after some healing, we're going to try again. And, I started to look into IVF again, but both the perinatal specialist nurse and even the clinic was like, well, you got pregnant twice last year. So that's not your issue. Your issue now is maintaining a pregnancy. So I did a lot of research on preventing preeclampsia, did a lot of research on, getting pregnant. And like I mentioned to you before, I even saw a fertility acupuncturist to help get pregnant again. And she put me on a regimen of certain vitamins to help the quality of my eggs. And I even saw like before, because I still had high blood pressure after that pregnancy. It can sometimes take, up to 6 months before your blood pressure goes back to normal, even though it was caused by the pregnancy and the pregnancy is not happening. So even now, after this current pregnancy where I have my son, I ended up with postpartum preeclampsia, which really threw me for a loop, but the body does what the body does, I guess. Yeah. So, but back to trying again. It was a lot of different things. I kind of put together a bump squad is what I called them, my baby bump squad, and just did a lot of research.
About what time was this? Like, time of year?
So we had the loss. We lost her in December 2021. Weren't even thinking about, well, we were thinking about it, but kind of figuring out what we wanted to do probably for the next 3 to 4 months till April. I think we made the decision that we wanted to try again in around March. Actually, no, really when we spoke to that doctor, Dr. Wilkes, and that was probably in January, but we knew we had things to do. We had to heal. Like the grief was so real.
Yeah.
And so because she was born, she was with us. We named her. Her name is McKaylee. Yeah, McKaylee Nanajwa Apia. She's my little angel. So we even have a little angel. What are they called? For the tree. What is it called?
An ornament.
Yes, thank you. Ornament that's like my new thing is put up her angel ornament during Christmas because that's the day, she became an angel. But yeah, so it was tough. So around March, April is when we really kind of maybe started trying a little bit more. I would say trying in terms of like, okay, let me see what I can do for my body to help the quality of my eggs. So, and to reduce my blood pressure, because one thing my doctor was saying was that he did not want me to get pregnant if I could avoid it while still having that high blood pressure, while still being on the medication for it, because that was another thing that was very challenging. Is I've always been fairly healthy, but I was taking maybe 4 or 5 medications, like 4 or 5 times a day. So I'm grieving. I'm now in this whole, new health world. It was just hard. And he was like, there are certain drugs that you're on that don't go well with pregnancy. So you need to reduce that anyway. So I was working on that, getting healthier. So yeah, that was all in the kind of the spring. And I also needed to wait for my cycle to return to normal because that original OB who told me not to try again, she put me on birth control. So while we were figuring that out, I was still taking the birth control. So once I got off, it took a while. I mean, it takes a while after pregnancy anyway, but it took a while for my cycle to return to normal enough to like actually ovulate. So yeah, all that was kind of in the spring. And then I would say we really like truly now I feel like I've been working on my nutrition and everything to help the quality of my eggs. That was probably around June, July when we really started, like May, June, July. So when we really, really started trying again. And then it took a couple months before I got pregnant.
Just a couple.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
so
wow.
in the moment, so yeah, now I'm like, you know what? I'm not taking these labels. I'm gonna call myself Fertile Myrtle because I could get pregnant.
I love
Uh,
it.
yeah, in the moment, it felt like a long time because
Yeah.
we truly mentally made this decision in Dr. Wilk's office back in January.
Hmm.
So then it was just kind of like figuring, really coming to like, all right, how do we move forward? Because I was afraid, of course,
Hmm.
because, you can have preeclampsia again, which I currently technically have. And I just was also afraid, like, I didn't want to have to go through a loss like that again.
Yeah.
So it took me a while mentally, even though, yeah, we've kind of made this decision. Then I was like, well, do I want to do this to myself, like my body? And,
Yeah.
can I handle this journey again? Can I handle being pregnant again?
Yeah.
So yeah, by about summer was when we really made that decision to move forward. I started going to fertility acupuncture almost like I think I was doing that every other week while I was trying to get pregnant. I was taking a lot of supplements that she recommended. I was doing a lot of walking, just trying to get myself healthy. And then we got pregnant about this time last year, so about September, October.
Hmm.
And I definitely was tracking my ovulation. I paid for the Pre-Mom app. I was
Hmm.
tracking my basal body temperature.
Yeah.
I did the digital tracking because I was like, I cannot, the stick, so
Yeah.
actually the stick for tracking ovulation, I realized that like I had a peak kind of. I don't know if you're familiar with all of
Hmm.
that. So if I didn't do it at a certain time, I might miss my ovulation and not know it. So the digital tracking was way better for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just kind of on it. And then we went to Ghana. We thought we were going to get pregnant in Ghana because we went to visit my family and his family, but we didn't. So that was devastating. But the next month we got pregnant.
Yeah. And what helped you, like motivational wise? What were you thinking through those times to really get you through?
That is a great question. Because sometimes when you're past it, you forget all the things that you did. But one of the biggest things, two big things. So when I was going through the grief, like I literally could not sleep. Sometimes my mind was just going down like a really negative space. So I got on YouTube one night and I was like, how do you manifest positively when your mind is like in the negative space? So I found this woman who was a manifestation coach, but she actually also happened to be a licensed therapist. And I was like, boom, I'm going to sign up for whatever she's doing. So I signed up for her program and it was so I liked it because it was goal setting and manifestation, but she's a therapist and she can't help but be a therapist. So
Mhm.
it was therapy. So I went through therapy, lots of affirmations. I happen to be Christian, so she's like, okay, well, go through and find, scripture that helps you and put it all in your notebook, your journal. For me, it was my notes app, and I would literally read them every morning. And then I also would journal like what I'm praying for and hoping for, and I would read that every morning. And then she also had me do like things that would help me kind of stay in a positive frame of mind. So, exercise does help. So the walking, even a few minutes of like yoga or Pilates in the morning. And then we went to church every Sunday. We started going to church pretty much like 2 or 3 weeks after we got home. And it was tough because I literally would just be bawling every day in
Mhm.
church, but we could keep going. And then my husband and I, one day in church, they were having a missions trip to Mexico. And so we went and helped build a home there. And I bring that up because I met quite a few women who were on similar journeys. And until you're in this unfortunate space, you don't realize how many women go through these losses and these trying again. I had aunts who I'd known my whole life, never said anything about their losses, who just called me out the woodwork, told me their stories, told me what they did. So it was a lot of therapy, prayer, affirmations, just kind of talking to myself because I needed to constantly combat the negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I knew if I let them, and it was hard. It's easy for me to say it now, but I knew if I let them get away from me, I wouldn't really be able to come back from it. So
Yeah.
I was constantly just talking to myself. I would try to flip the thought when it came up. And then also I allowed myself to grieve too. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are some days where I was just like, I'm gonna cry all day today. And that's just gonna be what it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I will try to pick myself back up tomorrow, but today this is what it is. And I think allowing myself that space and allowing myself to feel the feelings was very, very helpful. And yeah, just kind of doing little by little. Like it sounds like so little when I say it, but it was over the course of months of just adding things here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's my personality is like, oh, I have to attack this problem. It wasn't a problem, but that's just kind of like how I am. Because I knew if I just sat and did nothing, I would really go into a dark space, which is where I was for a while.
That's kind of the same mindset I had. I've been working a lot too on writing stuff down and okay, I have time to grieve and be very sad. And then it's like, okay, I feel like I need to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you can still be grieving and sad even while you're writing your journal
Yeah.
or writing your affirmations. Because I would cry all the time. And what made it a bit more challenging is my sister and I were pregnant at the same time. Yeah. And which was a dream of mine. I used to like
Yeah.
manifest for this. We're going to have babies at the same time. So she had her baby literally a month before I had Haley, because I wasn't supposed to have her then. I was supposed to have her like in April of the next year. So, she had her son, and I love him. I got to meet him before all this started, thankfully, because I didn't really see him much after that for like quite a few months. But, I would allow myself, like when I see him, it's okay for me to cry and still love this baby. It's okay for me to cry and still be happy for my sister. It's okay for me to come home and just, have a rough period or a rough week or two, like where my husband and I are just like moving in the house as two people and we're both so angry we can't really communicate with each other. So it was a lot. We also did couples therapy every now and then. He's not like super into it, but he was open to it to do it a few times and it really helped. And we actually also spoke to a few other couples who had gone through similar losses and now had kids.
Mm.
So that gave us so much hope.
Yeah. So now it only took a few months.
Mm-hmm.
And what prompted you? Did you just have a late cycle?
So I just kind of was like, I feel like I'm pregnant. I just feel like I'm pregnant. But I also did that cautiously because I had felt like I was pregnant before.
Mm-hmm.
But I was literally the day my cycle was late, I went and tested. So my husband is in the military. He's in the army. He's a reservist. He just now left, but he was going to drill that morning. It was a Saturday morning, and I was like, I need to test before he goes to drill because I want to know now. I want to celebrate before. I don't want him to be gone all day, and then I'm thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I tested that morning. Literally, so I was 3 weeks, and I had a positive pregnancy. We were over the moon, but also we were kind of it was hard because we'd had two pregnancies back to back in the last year. So we were excited, but we were also cautiously so.
Yeah.
And
guarded too.
Very guarded. Yeah. The first time around, we're so excited. Second time around, excited. Third time, it's like, yeah, let's do it. So I found out then, and I found a new OB. And so one thing I'll say is I wanted an OB of color just because sometimes you get the sense as a Black woman that people are not really listening to you, because I had not necessarily that I knew I had preeclampsia, but I had concerns in the previous pregnancy. I just kind of felt like they were, not really taking us seriously.
Mm.
So I had a new OB. I went in and wanted to get blood tested right away. And then I saw my perinatal specialist as well. And so to maintain the pregnancy, I took a daily shot of Lovenox every
Wow.
day. Yeah.
How was that? Was it hard?
It was, but it was also kind of like through research and just talking to my doctors, I knew that helped with my situation so much. So it was hard, but at the same time, mentally, I was just like, all right, this is what's going to get we call them baby bear. This is what's going to get baby bear here. So it was hard because it was daily. You can't really miss it. You don't want to miss it, just to help thin my blood and all the supplements that I was taking as well. So my husband would give it to me most days, or I would give it to myself in the belly.
How did the rest of your pregnancy go?
So looking back, and even then, I was like, this pregnancy is going fairly well. Like, it didn't have a lot of nausea. I mean, I had the fatigue. I was definitely tired. And I also didn't want to overexert myself too much because I was just like, well, I don't know. Yeah, we know the blood issue was there, but I don't know what else may have contributed to preeclampsia. So I tried to take it fairly easy. I stopped working. So I stopped working within my second trimester, partially also because that coincided with the anniversary of her loss. So, Christmas was very rough.
Yeah.
It was a tough time. We actually got engaged on Christmas Day, but I think he was just trying to like give us a new memory. But yeah, so I kind of just stopped working. I just was like, I just need to rest as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. And mentally, how were you during the pregnancy?
I was okay. I mean, it was like I said, I kept doing my morning prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I kept doing my morning affirmations, but I think the biggest thing was finding couples that I could talk to, women that I could speak to who had gone through this before. I mean, I've been blessed that I recently moved to Las Vegas in 2020. And I just was blessed with women who literally were in their 40s or late 30s having babies. And some of them had different types of losses, but losses.
Mm-hmm.
So I was constantly talking to them. And I actually would listen to podcasts like this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a couple of different podcasts that I would listen to that just were these stories of women triumphing over, I mean, stories that were even more heartbreaking than mine. I was like, okay, if they could do it, I could do it. Nothing, all things are possible with God. Like, these are just the kind of things I would say to myself all the time. And if I was having a rough time, I would just talk to my husband as much as I could. And I would saturate my mind. So like I even did overnight affirmations. Like I would find some affirmations on YouTube and listen to them overnight about like you're having a perfect pregnancy. You're going to have this baby. You'll be holding your baby. Like I just saturated my mind as much as possible with positive thoughts.
And what about the gender? Did you find out you're having a boy?
No.
No.
We were like, we're good with whoever shows up. We're good with this. Like I said, we called them baby bear throughout the entire pregnancy.
I love that. I want to do the same.
Do it. It's really, really, it was really nice, because we were just so grateful to be in that place, and just to, every day was a blessing. We're still pregnant, we're still good. Yeah.
I mean, talk about not care what the gender is. I'm sure you were like, who cares?
Yeah, we could not care less because we had a gender reveal with McKaylee, and I mean it was during COVID, like I said, so it was kind of more a Zoom one, but it was nice. Like my immediate family was around, and we are just like, I don't think we have the mental capacity to go through that.
Yeah.
we're just happy. So the big thing we did was our baby shower. Our friends planned it for us, but we're just like, we're good to go. Yeah.
And what about products? Was there anything that helped you during pregnancy?
Yeah. So I wish I had them with me. Aside from the Lovenox, I did baby aspirin every day. And so those were my blood issues, but I also took vitamin D.
Hmm.
I did magnesium and I did Design Essentials, I believe. This was a brand that my fertility acupuncturist recommended to me. So
Hmm.
I did their prenatal, I did their vitamin D, their magnesium. I did a different vitamin B complex, but that's something I took. I also took DHA. That was just any DHA though. And then personally, because I will say during that pregnancy, I just was not interested in vegetables at all. Like I just could not. So I took a prebiotic green powder and liquid chlorophyll every day. So I
Hmm.
would mix that up, and that's what I would take my medicine and supplements with. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like my habit. So I take it like twice a day. So I was like, at least I'm getting some greens in for this baby because I'm not interested in these vegetables. Yeah.
What was your diet like otherwise?
So I will say, like, I could do salads, but it just wasn't as much as I thought I should be having. And I didn't have a huge appetite during that pregnancy. So sometimes I felt like I wasn't eating enough. I think I gained a total of maybe 10 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, so which was okay for my situation because I didn't want, again, they don't always know the causation of preeclampsia. So they were like, we don't want you to gain a lot of weight anyway. Um,
Hmm.
and then we don't want you to get what is it? Not it's not diabetes, but it's like, I don't know why I have mom brain. Basically, when you can get diabetes during pregnancy
Yeah, gestational
Yes.
diabetes.
Yes, thank you. So, and they were like, we want you to avoid that. My sister did have it in her last pregnancy, so it wasn't too bad. But in general, I was more of a snacker. I liked crackers. I mean, this is not, don't go off of what I did, but crackers and fruit. I ate a lot of fruit
Hmm.
and then a lot of protein.
Hmm.
So I did eat a good amount of protein, but that's why I was so regimented about my supplements
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, if you're not doing perfect with your diet, I did avoid fast food. So I ate a lot of protein, a lot of, my family's from Ghana. So in our culture, we eat a lot of rice, but I tried to do like brown rice if I could, chicken, fish, and then fruit. So I did a lot of fruit. And I would try to sneak in my vegetables. So, like in my eggs or something like that, I do spinach.
Hmm.
And then those salad bags would be very helpful. But I wasn't as great as I would have liked to be. Like, especially after the loss, you think you're going to be like the most healthy. It just, the reality was that's not what I was craving. So I was like, all right, I'm going to avoid fast food, take my supplements, and do the best I can, with my diet.
How did you prepare for birth and baby this time?
So this time around, in terms of birth, we knew that they didn't want me to go 40 weeks because
Sure.
if McKaylee, even though it was 23 weeks, because it was 23 weeks, I had a C-section. And so they were like, you cannot, well, we'd rather you not deliver naturally, vaginally, because I could rupture something. So it was a scheduled C-section at 37 weeks. So I was pretty far along. And I just, in terms of, I did all the things, like I prepared the nursery, although they don't even sleep in the nursery for like the
I
first,
know.
um, and did my baby list, my registry. But to be honest, so, this fourth, I'm just coming out of what they call the fourth trimester,
Mhm.
which is very challenging. I should have done a better job learning about once the baby gets here, but because of all that I had experienced, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about get baby here, get
Yeah.
baby here, get baby here. So I didn't read up about breastfeeding and how to just really have baby, like really
Mhm.
care for baby. I mean, I knew enough, but I feel like I could have done a better job of learning, what that first couple weeks looks like. And he was also in the NICU for a few days. So that was, again, it was just like keep a positive mindset about baby being fine. You're going home with your baby. You're not leaving this hospital without your baby. And there, he was in the NICU about 5 days. So day 4, they were like, so you're fine. You need to go. And I kid you not, I busted out in tears. I was like, I'm going to let these tears do their job and make sure they let me stay in this hospital because I'm not leaving here without my baby. So when you get to that point, I know, you're so happy and wanting to be so focused on making sure baby arrives. But I would highly recommend also like spending some time learning a little bit more about when baby gets here. That 4th trimester is challenging.
What was it like going to the hospital at 37 weeks ready to deliver and you have a baby?
For me, it was great. I am a little type A, so it was kind of nice knowing, okay, I'm going at this time on this day. Mm-hmm. I know where to show up. I know what's going to happen. So it was really nice. Like the night before, we just kind of chilled at home. We were all packed and ready to go. And we just drove there. We kind of took it really easy on ourselves. And we were really comfortable with our doctors. So we didn't we didn't really make too much of a deal over it. I think we just kept praying and just leaving that it's going to be fine, and we had a fantastic team. I did switch hospitals. So it was a totally new experience. That was one thing. Like I pretty much did everything new aside from Dr. Wilkes, the perinatal specialist. Everything was new. My OB, the office that I went to, the hospital that I went to, and I decided to go with a I think it's tier 1 medical hospital. And so the city hospital. So it's like an older hospital, but it's got more of like, if anything were to go wrong, it has more of the resources because previously I had delivered in more of a local regional hospital.
And is that why you changed doctors and hospitals?
So I changed doctors, one, because my original OB told me not to get pregnant again.
Oh, yeah. But did you change again?
No. So I had 2 doctors the whole pregnancy. I had my OB and my perinatal specialist. So
gotcha.
Yeah, but I changed, like they all kind of, so here in Las Vegas, we have a few different hospitals, just like anywhere else that you can choose from, depending on where your doctor has privileges. And I just knew I wasn't going to go back to that first hospital again.
Yeah. I don't blame you for that. What was it like? You go in the OR. Walk us through what that was like.
It was surreal. It was again, one of those times where I really had to talk to myself, both my husband and I, because, the last time we went in an OR, it was not the positive outcome we were looking for. So again, thankfully, the hospital we went to, which was UMC here in Las Vegas, the team was phenomenal. They just kind of were talking to us the whole time. So I couldn't even almost think. I didn't even have the space to think about like, oh, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? They were just kind of walking us through what's going to happen. And then my doctor, the OB, Dr. Mays, was like, are you guys excited? Are you ready? So everyone's so upbeat. It helped us to be more positive, more upbeat. And I just had I felt calm. And I keep saying I just kept praying, but that's the truth. Like I just kept praying. And so I felt all right. I felt okay because I started to get into my head and I was just like, no, let me sit back, pray. And then, like I said, they were just so positive. It helped me to be positive.
And what else happened?
So I went in and then honestly, you're awake during the C-section and they're just talking, making jokes. My husband is there. It was just such a different experience from last time.
Sure.
Last time it was early, so we were already scared. I'm not going to mention the previous hospital, but one of the doctors was like on their phone at one point. My husband was like, she can feel what's happening. Because I was like, I could feel the pain. So this experience was just so much more positive. And it felt like, and it was only like 10, 15 minutes. That's why I don't have a lot to say because it was so fast. It was so fast. I legit was like, oh, he's here already? And she's like, yeah, it's a boy. So I was like, Okay. So it was just really, really fast. It was a fast process. I will say they let me breastfeed him initially, which I really appreciated, before they said, okay, he's breathing a little fast. We're just going to take him to the NICU. So I'm glad they let me have that moment with him,
Yeah.
because then there was some anxiety, like, oh, it's going to the NICU. She went to the NICU and didn't turn out the way we hoped. So, but they were so good about giving us updates and telling us exactly what was going on and where he was, and we didn't have to like ask anyone. They were updating us constantly. So
Hmm.
it was an experience, but it was a positive one.
And what was it like leaving the hospital? Did you end up leaving with him, or did those tears talk them in and you stayed?
I stayed. I stayed a whole other day. I stayed because I will never forget. The nurse came in, and they change nurses throughout the day. So she was very nonchalant. She's like, "Yeah, I think we're gonna discharge you today," and baby will be. I just started bawling out. So it worked. They were like, "Oh, okay." I think they knew my history. They
Hmm.
figured it out how to let me stay and still have insurance cover it. And so we left with him. It was fantastic. We were true new parents, though, like, does car seat work and all this stuff and making sure it's good. And I'm sitting in the back with him, but we were just so happy. I mean, we were so, so happy
Yeah.
when we got home. And then, we didn't have him that first 5 days. So that first night, we were like, quite delirious.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we were happy. We were
Yeah.
delirious and happy. Yeah.
Did you get the wheelchair exit?
I did. Yeah, I did. So they wheeled me out. I will say I recovered fairly quickly from this C-section. I was up and walking, and I don't know if it comes down to like the supplements I was taking. I walked a lot during the pregnancy. But yeah, I was just happy to, get the treatment of being wheeled out and with my baby, and it was good.
How was your recovery?
My recovery was okay. My recovery was going fairly well because, like I said, I felt like I was healing pretty well. We have a guest bedroom downstairs, so we were staying down there. Everything was on the same level as us. We were doing pretty well. And then I noticed swelling in my feet like a week later. Something told me again, check your blood pressure.
Mhm.
And it was sky high. So I was like, I didn't have any issues during the pregnancy. What do you mean I have postpartum? So that really actually threw a lot off for me because I just couldn't believe I had it again. But this more than silver lining, the gold lining was like, okay, baby's here. Just take care of yourself now as best you can, So it was getting back to the meds and seeing my nephrologist and my OB and making sure that it didn't go too far up,
Mhm.
because it was quite high. So that part of the recovery was challenging, but the physical part on me, I felt like was pretty good. I, used all the binders. I took my meds as best as I could. And being on the ground floor was very helpful. So I didn't have to go up and down stairs. And so that helped quite a bit.
And how did you choose to feed your baby?
Yeah. So initially I was breastfeeding. Actually, we were combo feeding. So one thing I will say with him being in the NICU, of course, I was starting to pump. And so he got some colostrum, he got some breast milk, but my milk wasn't fully in. So he did get some formula. And I will say one thing I did not love was like, as we were leaving the hospital, he started to cry and the nurse kind of just popped open a formula bottle and
Mhm.
popped it in his mouth, which he's formula fed now.
Mhm.
So I have no problem with it, but it kind of, again, me not learning that babies can get bottle preference. I was like, okay, we can feed him bottle and boob. It got to the point though, he got bottle preference, because it's so much faster. So, and then when I had the postpartum preeclampsia, I kind of like went into a bit of a state. So I wasn't feeding as well. So now he was combo fed for a while and now he's formula fed.
Okay. mentally, how were you during recovery?
It was rough.
Mm,
It was rough because it was such a challenging period. Like they cluster feed and he's eating and you're not getting any sleep. And I felt such guilt that I found it to be so hard. And this is something I've prayed for so long, so I stayed in therapy and I was still doing my therapy, which is very helpful. So it took a while. Like the first couple weeks was very challenging because I felt such guilt for feeling like it was hard
mhm.
when I felt like I should be like over the moon. And I was over the moon, but it was kind of like battling with myself. I'm so happy he's here. I'm so grateful for him. I love him so much. This is so hard.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was a lot. But
Yeah.
yeah, I stayed in therapy.
Yeah. You probably felt a little guilty for feeling like this is hard.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
guilt was really, 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 really big because we've been through so much to get here. How dare I feel like, wow, this is harder than I thought it would be?
Hmm.
And so you feel bad that you think it's hard, and then you feel bad that you you feel that way. So
Hmm.
it was challenging. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to say about your pregnancy or birth?
I just want to say that, especially for women, I wouldn't even say of a certain age, but I would recommend, especially women of color, to ask about certain blood tests. See if you can, well, all women really. Like for me, it was such a simple fix for the preeclampsia. It still sometimes is painful to think about that she could have been here with us if we had just known. So I say, if you're pregnant, the test doesn't even cost you much of anything with insurance, and even otherwise, it's well worth it. And then I would say, exhaust all the options you can. Some people thought I was crazy for doing fertility acupuncture. I did it throughout the pregnancy too. I did all the supplements. As much as you can, because I feel like if you have the desire, you're already a mom. This is just finding your path to get there. So that's my 2 cents.
I love that. Do you feel acupuncture is relaxing to you? Or it was just like a fertility thing for you?
So it was somewhat relaxing, as in, I'm sure like most women, you have such busy lives sometimes. It was great to just have this hour where I'm not doing anything.
Mhm.
I'm not on my phone, I'm not on social media. So it was nice for that. It felt nice. I will admit, sometimes it was like, I don't really know if this is doing anything, but like, and my husband would be like, this is not cheap. And I was like, I don't care. Studies say it works, so I'm going.
Mhm.
So it was nice, and I feel like there would be times, I will admit, there would be times where I might be anxious or not be feeling so great. And I would go to a session and I would feel a little bit better afterwards. So I think there's something to it. Some days I was just like, this was nice to lay down for an hour. Some days it was just fantastic. So
Yeah, I do it too. And I find it so relaxing. Yeah.
it's nice. It's like really, really nice. It's funny because I was just texting with her earlier this week. So, I sent her pictures all the time. And sometimes I'm like, maybe I'll make it a monthly thing for myself. And I have actually thought about it going back for my postpartum preeclampsia, because that's how I initially got there. It
Hmm.
it has been shown to help prevent preeclampsia somehow. So
Hmm.
I just haven't gotten around. I have not had the mental space to even schedule it
Yeah.
between thing and baby and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So now you have a little bit of preeclampsia
Mhm.
still.
Mhm.
How else are you today?
I'm pretty good. In terms of my health, everything, all my other markers are good. And I have days. So during my pregnancy, I took my blood pressure. I have a blood pressure cuff at home. I took it every single day. And before I even got pregnant, took it every single day because I wanted to get off the medication. I will say I have not been as diligent in terms of taking my actual pressure. So I take my medicine every day, every morning, every night, but I've just now started being more diligent with taking my pressure daily, because I want to start getting myself off of the medication. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I'll take it. I'd say in the last week, there are some days I'll take it in the morning before I take my medication, and my pressure is actually really good. So then I don't necessarily need to take the medication because you don't want it to go too low. But honestly, other than that, it's pretty good. And I've started walking more again, which helped tremendously before. I just didn't have I was figuring this baby out.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of wasn't in the habit, but I'm getting back to the habit. I would still take it, just not daily. So it'd be
Mm-hmm.
like once or twice a week. Fortunately, my dad happens to be a pediatrician. So literally every day he'd be like, "How's your pressure? How's your pressure? What's your pressure? What's your pressure?" Let's go check. Oh yeah.
Need that nudge from dad.
Yes, yeah.
Do you have any plans to have more kids in your 40s?
I would like to. So I will
Ooh.
admit this decision, it took a while to get here because I think during the pregnancy and towards the end, I was like, okay, I think I could do this possibly again. But I would have moments where I'm like, this is hard. Like me telling you about the pregnancy now, I feel like I have rose-colored glasses on. I know there were moments in that pregnancy where I was like, this is a lot. But once baby comes, you're kind of like, it's all fine. It's great. It was easy. But it took me a while to get to the decision of maybe I'll try again, especially once I had the postpartum preeclampsia.
Mm.
That kind of threw me for quite a loop.
Yeah.
And, it being so severe the last time around, I was kind of concerned for my own health. But now, you do more research and you live with it a little longer and you talk to your OB and your perinatal specialist, and they're all like, well, we know what the cause is. We know what you need to do. So they've kind of given me the okay, which has made me feel a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And then just having him, I'm like, I would love for him to have a sibling, just I have two siblings. It's the best thing life has given me aside from my family, my current family. So I would really like that. So I'm considering it.
Okay, that's exciting.
And so many women are having babies in their 40s. So I'm like, I'll do it.
No, why not?
Yeah. Because I had thought about surrogacy for a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I've looked into it. I've talked to a few agencies. So it's not 100% off the table, but I think just based off of this last pregnancy and care team that I have, I feel comfortable with them. So yeah, we'll see.
Ooh, exciting. What has been your biggest challenge being pregnant in your 40s?
I would say being pregnant in my 40s, I would just say energy. I feel like both being pregnant in my 40s and having a baby in my 40s, like now having to care for the baby, just I know my energy level that I have now is not quite what I would have had in my early 30s or even my 20s. So that's why I do try to walk and try to fit in like a little bit of Pilates here and there. And I think I'll incorporate some more just because my energy levels sometimes can be challenging. I'd say that's the biggest one. And then also not letting statistics and society get into your head too much.
Definitely. Yeah. That's easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you'd recommend that would help prepare someone for pregnancy and birth in their 40s?
Find podcasts like this, listen to them religiously. Mm-hmm. Because before doing that, all I knew were the doom statistics. All I knew is over 35, you're a geriatric pregnancy. It's not going to work. You don't have, all of that. But then you listen to these podcasts and these women are just popping babies out, not just popping babies out. I shouldn't say it like that, but they're doing what they need to or what they want to as best as they can. And hearing these stories gives you so much encouragement, and I'd say saturate your mind with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the mind science is so important, and I don't think people always recognize that, but I think it's a huge part of it. It's a huge piece.
I love it.
The only other thing I would recommend is find someone you can work with, like holistic practitioner of some kind. Because even before I saw the fertility acupuncturist, I did see like a nutritionist who had some experience with helping people get to pregnancy. And so even though I didn't eat that great always during my pregnancy, leading up to it, I did switch around my diet. I did reduce sugar, those kind of things that just are supposed to help with the quality of the pregnancy. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, sorry. I did take ovasitol, which is, I think, inositol. It's been proven to help with egg quality.
Okay.
Yeah. I will send you like the spelling of it because it was a powder that I would take when I took my supplements. I would just take it with that every day. And it's supposed to help, I don't want to say prevent miscarriage, but it's been proven to kind of reduce the risk of it.
Okay, cool. And what advice would you give yourself when you were pregnant if you could go back?
Honestly, it would be to learn how to actually care for baby a bit more. Like I was so focused on getting the baby here. I didn't do I knew I wasn't going to labor, so I didn't do any sort of labor classes or anything like that. But I really didn't look into so the idea of giving yourself that space, like we had visitors in our house pretty much day one and then back to back to back. And that is a lot. Like, even though they're kind of helping, it's not the same as you just being able to be in your house. I have a friend who's also over 40 who had a baby a month after me or 2 months after me. But she had a baby. She has a 10-year-old. So she'd been through it before. And they had no visitors the first 4 weeks, aside from her mom. And she breastfed for I think 3 or 4 weeks before she ever introduced the bottle. And those kind of little tips, I think I wish I had spoken to more moms that I know about that. But I was just talking to them about, well, how did you get your baby here? So that is the one thing I would do differently, kind of have that mindset that baby's going to be here. What are you going to do when they get here? Yeah. Yeah.
And what would you say to other women who are trying to conceive in their 40s?
What would I say? I would say it is possible. Do not let statistics deter you. I would say find your bump squad. I would definitely say find your bump squad that works for you. And it's okay to keep searching until you find that roster. My bump squad was the new OB, the perinatal specialist who believed in us, my fertility acupuncturist, nutrition. I put everybody on the roster. Like, find a bump squad that works for you. And even when I was looking into surrogacy, I was kind of like, who do I feel comfortable with if this is the route I end up going? Just really find people that make you feel comfortable and heard. And if you get the sense that this doctor is not really listening to you, switch it up. It's okay to switch it up mid-pregnancy, during your pregnancy, find a better fertility clinic. Even when I was doing that, like when we were considering IVF, one clinic, once they heard our story, they were kind of like blowing us off almost. I mean, they were going to take our money, but they were not kind. I was like, okay, we're not going with you guys. So switch around if you need to, so you find the right people.
That's great advice. And where can others connect with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. That's where I am most of the time. And I'm at Nana Alice Nyarko, which is Nyarko. So that's Nana Alice Nyarko on Instagram. And I'm kind of on YouTube sometimes, but Instagram is really where you can find me.
Oh, fun. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It was so beautiful.
Thank you so much. This is my first time really sharing it in public. So yeah.
And thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next Monday.